Hey guys, welcome back to Movie Recalls. Today I'm gonna show you a fantasy, science fiction, and thriller film from 2019 titled Paradise Hills. Before I start, warning. Spoilers ahead. The film starts with in an unspecified future, society is divided into only two subtypes. The upper and lower classes. A prominent place for rebellious wealthy girls is Paradise Hills. It is located on a faraway island suitable for the needed therapy and healing of its admitted patients. One of them is Yuma, a wealthy young lady who refuses to marry a man she does not love. However, Yuma and her family's status is determined by her choice. Yuma is at her wedding in an undetermined future and happily sings to her new husband, Sun. Numerous guests and relatives attend their grand wedding and congratulate the couple for a successful celebration. That night, Sun pins Yuma to bed while saying that she has changed drastically. According to him, Yuma is much more obedient, incomparable to her attitude in the past. 2 months before the wedding, Yuma wakes up in an unfamiliar room with dirty and muddied clothes. Out of nowhere, a voice control informs her that she is in paradise just as two guards arrive at her room for breakfast. Yuma runs outside, where she finds herself in some kind of a resort in the middle of nowhere. She attempts to escape only to find that a cliff limits her escape. Desperate to run away, she runs to the beach and finds a cave where she takes shelter. Inside, she meets Amarna, who is using the cave to hide while smoking. Amarna comforts Yuma and leads the way out, only to turn her into the guards. Yuma's heart drops as she finds herself trapped in the so-called paradise. The island is a behavioral reformation center for women who are rebellious and have displeased their families. The guards bring Yuma to the Duchess, who is in charge of running the center. She makes Yuma understand that the center is a place for emotional healing. Yuma's mother has involuntarily admitted her to the center in hopes of controlling her behavior. Although the place sounds like a prison, its facilities are beyond beautiful. The spaces are relaxing and serene to implicate healing on its patients. However, Yuma refuses to accept any concept that would drive her to obey her mother. She sees the center as a place that would brainwash her, and she does everything to fight it. The Duchess always keeps her cool and acts motherly toward Yuma, but even that won't comfort her. Shortly after, the guards escort Yuma to her room, where she meets Chloe and Yu. Chloe's parents sent her to the center to be skinny and be like a pageant queen like her sisters. On the other hand, Yu's relatives sent her after refusing to inherit the family business. At dinner, the guards prepare food that is duly accounted to each of the women's diets. Yuma is surprised at the ample portions served, but the guards reiterate its importance. From the other table, Yuma spots Amarna looking at her and gives her a smug look. Upon noticing it, Chloe and Yu inform Yuma that Amarna is a famous singer. She is in the center because of her alcoholism and to recover from the bad effects of fame. Yuma excuses herself to go to the bathroom, and Amarna follows her inside. She apologizes for what happened earlier and explains that she does not want the guards to discover the cave. She also defends herself by revealing the real reason for her admission. The company that controls her records sent her after singing her own songs. Before Amarna leaves, she tells Yuma to meet her at midnight. However, Yuma falls asleep and wakes up at daybreak instead. While wearing her uniform, she apologizes to Amarna, but the latter says that she fell asleep as well. Yuma, Yu, and Chloe are being groomed with new hairstyles as part of their stay. The makeover begins, and in an instant, the three settle in with their new looks. A new look might help renew one's holistic self. The scene shows how Yuma is somehow satisfied with her new appearance as required by the program. She looks through the mirror and likes what she sees, but it is someone that she's not. Everything she looks at is simply a facade. Her reflection only reminds her of the limited choices and changes she has in her life. Later that day, Yuma meets with the Duchess once again to talk about her therapy and improvement. The Duchess asks Yuma about the nature of her admission, her refusal to marry a rich man. Yuma blames her mother for everything and says that she has no regard for her feelings. Enraged by the Duchess's response, Yuma furiously walks away. Yuma is brought to a secluded room where she is instructed to sit on a carousel horse as it levitates. Almost reaching the ceiling, Yuma sees projected footage of Sun describing himself and his interests. Yuma becomes annoyed as she is fixated on the fact that she does not want to marry Sun. The video plays several times again until the guards arrive and assist her out. They find out that Yuma got too frustrated that she clenched her fists too hard, harming herself in the process. The guards assist her to the Duchess for another counseling session, but Yuma is worn out. During the session, she reveals that she refuses to marry Sun because she loves someone else. However, The man she is in love with is a lower, thus her mother's withholding. Still, the Duchess reiterates the life of abundance that she will experience when she marries Sun, making Yuma reflect on her words. For the following days, Yuma adjusts and enjoys life on the island. She becomes closer to her friends and feels a sense of belonging in her stay. She also becomes more open to sharing her feelings with the Duchess and her friends. After days of feeling unsafe on the island, Yuma finds refuge in her friends. She feels more at home with them than in the majestic corners of the center. Growing up in luxury, Yuma knows that it will not amount to anything she has a connection with. True happiness is in her relationship with people, not things. The ladies share a special bond because they know what it's like to have everything while being empty at the same time. One day, Marcus, her boyfriend, goes to the island and disguises himself as a gardener. Yuma looks at him in awe as they embrace each other. Both of them go to a more private area of the island where Marcus reveals his plan. There, he promises Yuma that they will escape and flee the island as soon as possible. Marcus shows Yuma his room on the island and they have an intimate moment. Little did they know, Amarna watches them from a small window while shedding a tear as if jealousy overtakes her. That night, Amarna warns Yuma to be careful of Marcus. She reminds Yuma that she should be careful as to trusting Marcus. With this, Yuma defends Marcus by saying that she has known him her whole life. Before bedtime, Yuma looks at her locket that projects a moving image of her and her father. The necklace is her most prized possession, and she carries it with her all the time. At daybreak, Yuma is frustrated to realize that her locket is nowhere to be found. As she looks for it, an alarm goes off through the whole island. According to the staff, an intruder is at bay which alarms everyone. The girls observe from the balcony, but the Duchess orders them to get ready for the day instead. Yu talks back at her and causes a commotion as the Duchess pins her to the wall aggressively. To use defense, Amarna and the others reprimand the Duchess and she walks away to address the problem. During their stay, it is the first time that the Duchess has displayed an off behavior. As she showed aggression, the window cracked, which implies that some kind of magic takes place on the island. Her overprotection over the island is also notable just by the sudden shift in her demeanor. In the past, Yu has brought up her struggles with anxiety and how she feels like dying whenever she experiences it. Luckily, her friends are present to walk her through the commotion and help her calm down. Shortly after, Yuma accompanies Amarna to the cave, where the latter reveals her own escape plan. According to her, some of her fans smuggled a rowboat to the island without the administration noticing. Yuma adds that the milk they drink is drugged, which causes them to be in a deep sleep all night. Amarna hands Yuma's lost locket, claiming that she found it in the patio while the guards wheeled girls in. With growing concerns, Yuma storms out of the cave to meet up with Marcus and says she has something important to tell him. Before their plan could be executed, the guards announced that Amarna would graduate early than expected. Confused, Yuma runs to the bathroom to spit the milk and discuss the news with Amarna. She asks Amarna how they could reunite, so she entrusts her with a trinket with a map. Before they depart from each other, the two share a kiss. The scene explains how Amarna has been protective of Yuma about her plan to escape with Marcus. All along, she has been attracted to her. In some way, Amarna has been her guardian angel on the island. She is the one who comforts Yuma and looks out for her. In return, Yuma also realizes that she has been attracted to Amarna all along, something she did not expect from herself. That night, Yuma does not fall asleep, unlike the other girls, because she skipped the milk. She sneaks out of bed, only to find the guards wheeling unconscious girls in and out of their room with undisclosed intentions. The following day, she has another session in the carousel horse. However, instead of Sun's videos, a montage of her family is flashed. Yuma begins to cry as the screen shows how her father took his own life because of their business's decline. She becomes frantic and runs from the guards as soon as she is free from the ties. As punishment, the guards drag Yuma to the room for solitary confinement. She calls Marcus for help, but he is hesitant to do so, leaving Yuma hurt. After some time, Yuma regains consciousness and the guards bring her to the Duchess's office. To Yuma's surprise, she sees Amarna on the screen, seemingly back to her regular life of fame. After, the Duchess arrives to tell her that Amarna is living her best life after leaving the center, which proves that their therapy is real and effective. She also adds that Yuma has been asleep for 2 weeks and will leave the island the next morning. Upon hearing the shocking news, Yuma runs to the cave to meet Chloe and Yu. She informs them about her escape plan, but only Chloe seems interested in participating. They try to persuade Yu to join them after exposing the dangers of the center, but to no avail. Yuma then meets with Marcus to steal a remote control for the center's surveillance cameras. The scene shows how Yuma has partially lost her feelings for Marcus. After her interaction with Amarna, it becomes unclear as to how her emotions are. For Yu, she refuses to leave the facility as she used to be a lower class. Proving herself to her wealthy relatives is the way for her to survive life away from the slums. Despite her hunger for freedom and careless life, she knows that her relatives have a lot on her and she is tired of disappointing them. At dinner, Yu finally decides to join them by showing that she will get rid of the milk. Hours later, it is time to sleep, but the trio remains awake and conscious. They hear the guards approach their room and get Yu, so Chloe and Yuma act quickly and run to her rescue. Deep into the center, Chloe and Yu arrive at the operating room where Yu lies. Without a concrete plan, Chloe attacks one of the nurses out of nowhere, so Yuma has no choice but to do the same. Both of them manage to fight off the nurses, but Yu is already injured. The trio runs through the corridors unnoticed and enters a monitoring room where they see themselves on the screens. They realize that the center is observing them instead of treating them. Every single thing about them, including their mannerisms, is seemingly measured and studied to make replicas. Yuma also discovers that Marcus had no intention of rescuing her, but rather was employed to predict her sexual behavior. After running along the narrow hallways, the trio ends up in a room where they meet the replicants. They are women from poor walks of life who underwent extensive and holistic surgeries to attain their physique. Moreover, the replicants have studied mannerisms to act like more obedient versions of the ones they are replacing. The women replacing them are the ones who wish a better life for themselves. The only way for them to ascend the ladder of success is to pretend to be someone they're not. As selfish as it seems, they see the admitted women as people who are throwing away a life of abundance. To have that, the replicants forget who they are and hide behind someone else's face and personality. In a way, they are puppets of the center who garner big monetary gains because of the replicants' sacrifices. Just as Yu sees her replicant, she dies, which devastates her two friends. Yuma lets the replicants know that they are doing no good by supporting the center. She then leaves behind her locket for her replicant and tells her that son is responsible for her father's death and she has to hate him to be her completely. With their lives at stake, Yuma and Chloe run to a hidden garden in the middle of the night. At one point, Chloe disappears out of nowhere, leaving Chloe to explore the garden independently. To her horror, she notices the lifeless remains of former Paradise girls, including Amarna, entangled in the leaves. When she looks for Chloe, Yuma finds the Duchess preying on Chloe's body and sucking her blood. The Duchess turns her attention to Yuma as she prepares to make prey on her as well. Suddenly, Yuma's replicant stops the Duchess from doing so by pretending to be the real Yuma. It bids Yuma some time to untangle herself from the vines before stabbing the Duchess to death. The Duchess's demise causes the cave to collapse after she turns into roses. Along with her replicant, Anna, Yuma escapes into the rowboat where they run into Marcus. In tears, he apologizes to Yuma and explains that her mother told her that she chose son over him. However, Yuma already felt too betrayed to forgive him and sails into the night with Anna. The reason for Yuma's defiance from her family is Marcus. Sadly, he is also the one to betray her. Yuma has lost faith in him after finding out that the center paid him to come to the island. She sacrificed everything, almost losing her life in the process, only to find out that Marcus is not worth her love. It awakened her to his true intentions and nature. Halfway to the mainland, Anna reveals that she can no longer return to her former life because nothing is left. Yuma assures her that everything will be fine, and they continue to develop a plan. Arriving at Yuma's house, Anna pretends to be her and continues to marry Sun. While the celebration is ongoing, Yuma sneaks into the room to seduce Sun before killing him. The guests hear a loud thud from upstairs, and Anna volunteers to check on her new husband. With this, Anna is free from blame because she is downstairs among the witnesses during the murder. After discovering Sun's body, Anna looks out the balcony. She sees Yuma, and both of them exchange a friendly smile. To continue the plan, Anna screams for help, and Yuma's mother runs to her immediately. After securing her revenge, Yuma flees while Anna is free to live a new life as a wealthy widow. In retrospect, the film is a statement about how gender roles are often absurd and repressive, especially for women. The characters are in their 20s, but they're treated like children. They are forced into identical and uncomfortable uniforms and mandatory tea parties, yoga classes, and salon sessions. The real reason for the center is to replicate them, not rehabilitate them. However, Yuma's defiance has proved more than once that she can choose whoever she wants to be. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.